Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1, or should I say, Stop and Go F2, because here we are with our coverage of the F2 weekend at Saudi Arabia. A lot to get into here, a lot happening in another fantastic weekend of Formula 2. I mean, this season of Formula 2 has been massively hyped, and thus far has delivered two fantastic weekends of F2 racing, and I would still say we are yet to see the best of the people we expected to see the best of. We'll get into it now. So, quick overview of qualifying. Ollie Behrman takes pole position, and unless you've been living under a rock, you might not know this, but Ollie Behrman will be taking part in F1 this weekend as part of the Ferrari team, so he's not taking part in Formula 2. This then pushes Kush Miney up to take pole position for the feature race. And it also means that for the first two races of the F2 season this year, the person who's got pole position has not started on pole position, which is a little bit strange. For the sprint race, it doesn't really change anything. Everyone goes up one position, which I thought would mean that Pepe Marti, who qualified 11th, would become 10th and would get sprint pole. But it doesn't. Paul Aron, who qualified 10th, stayed there and got sprint pole, but then would be 9th in the feature, and Pepe Marti was 10th in the feature and the sprint. Personally, don't agree with that. If we're pushing everyone up, Marty should have been sprint pole. But there you go. Into the sprint race, so Paul Aron on pole, Richard Verschoor alongside. Paul Aron gets a good start. The person who doesn't get a good start was Kimi Antonelli. He hits Crawford twice, actually, and has a little bit of damage. Further up, Colapinto and O'Sullivan, further back, Colapinto and O'Sullivan stall on the line. This brings out the safety car. Victor Martins has also been slammed into the wall by Dennis Hauger and is out of the race. Enzo Fittipaldi's mirror has fallen off, and it's all going well. Behind the safety car, Dirksen, something happened there. It was either Dirksen or Barnard allowed Kimi Antonelli to pass, and I'm still not sure why they did this, but they did, and there was no penalty, so I guess it's fine. Safety car comes in on lap 4. Good start from Aron to keep the lead. Get a lovely little battle between Kush Miney and Dennis Hauger for P5. Maloney has made some great moves. He started P15, and a disappointing qualifying for him in 15th, but he's up to P8 by lap 6. Richard Verschoor is now all over the back of Paul Aron for the lead, and he has a fantastic dive bomb to take P1 on lap 8. Maloney now up to P7 after passing Pepe Marti, and Hauger makes a move past Hajar to take the last of the podium positions on lap 10. Roman Stanek is able to pass Kimi Antonelli after a lock-up from Antonelli. Lots of lock-ups from him this weekend in both races. That was on lap 10. Amory Cordial is out. He had a spin and stall, as we call it in the F2 world, in the middle of turn 1. This brings out another safety car, which only lasts a couple laps though. Verschoor is able to keep the lead, off the back of the safety car. Maloney now up to P6 after passing Miney. Crawford then passes Marty for P8, and Crawford passes Miney for P7. Fittipaldi up to P4 on lap 14, and there is some fantastic driving between Crawford and Maloney. You're side by side through those really high-speed, twisty sections in their little battle for P6 on lap 15. Really fantastic stuff. Just going to and fro, fighting for that one position. Maloney eventually comes out on top of that. Correa is out on lap 17, which brings out the virtual safety car. He clipped the wall and there was debris on the track. He was able to get the car back to the pits though. Dennis Hauger passes Paul Aron for P2 on lap 18, and then Antonelli passes Miney for P8 on lap 18. Maloney passes Dennis Hauger for P5 on lap 19 of 20. Some fantastic race pace again from Zane Maloney. And of course, he won both races in Bahrain. Again, disappointing qualifying for him, but his race pace in the sprint was absolutely fantastic, from 15th to 5th in the race. He just did 19 laps, which was really, really good. Isaac Hauger has an issue at the end of the race, going very slow, and retires the car on lap 19 of 20, so very disappointing for him. But the sprint race ends with Richard Verschoor winning, Dennis Hauger in P2, and then Paul Aron takes P3. But, as we all know, in F2, things are not that simple. Richard Verschoor gets disqualified from the race due to a technical infringement, which means that Dennis Hauger actually won the race instead. There you go, very good sprint race. On to the feature. With Kushmini now on pole after Ollie Behrman's call-up. Crawford is alongside him in P2. Taylor Barnard stalls on the pits and has to go from the pit lane. Miney gets away really well. Antonelli gets a good move up from P5 to P4. But Marty and Stanek are both out in turn 3. This brings out the safety car. Now, Marty did say that he got hit, but looking at it, I don't think he did. It looks like he put too much power on, maybe got a bit of curb, spun the car, was very lucky to only hit one car, hitting Stanek. Gabriel Bortoletto is also out. Oh my dear. Oh my, I can't talk. Gabriel Bortoletto is also out after an awful start. They were saying it was a differential issue, but yeah, his wheels were just spinning, going nowhere. So big issue for Bortoletto, out of the race. Safety car ends after lap 3. There's a 10-second penalty for Miata for a starting procedure infringement, and it's my favourite penalty, everyone. It's a stop-and-go penalty. Need more of them in my life. There's a fantastic battle, though, between Martins, Hauger and Hauger for P5. That starts at lap 6. Further back, Aron and Verschoor are battling for P8. Wonderful stuff. Now, the tyre strategy of this race was actually very interesting because they had the mediums and the super soft tyres. The super soft tyres do not last long at all. Lap 6, we have Crawford, Hauger, Verschoor and Aron all pitting. Meanwhile, on track, Hauger passes Martins and Correa passes Miata round the outside for P4. Fantastic stuff. We get Miney, Fittipaldi, Antonetti, Hauger, Maloney and Colapinto all pitting then as well, all getting that super soft tyre off the car. Crawford has an incredible overtake on Antonelli. Crawford, one of my favourite drivers of the weekend this weekend, that was for P9. Antonelli is able to get him back though. Antonelli, a fantastic aggressive driver here today, but not as aggressive as Jack Crawford, who then takes it back again. Jack Crawford, I mean, I know I said one of my favourite drivers this weekend. I don't think he's quite the hero of F2. We'll get onto that later on. But some of the moves he was putting on were beautifully aggressive. I loved watching them. It was a real highlight reel for him this weekend. But yeah, Antonelli was on the back foot, it seemed. Throughout a lot of the feature race, it seemed like he was on the back foot having to defend. But his defensive driving was incredible, to the point where it would take a lot for people to overtake him. But when they overtook him, it doesn't necessarily mean they were going to keep that place, because he was able to come back and take it back from them. So great driving from both Crawford and Antonelli. Hauger is now past Antonelli though, but Antonelli takes the place back. Hauger passes Antonelli, and then Antonelli takes the place back again. Then Hauger gets him one more time for P7. Further up the field, Fittipaldi passes Miney for P4. That's on lap 13. Now what we thought at the time, that was really the battle for the lead for P1, because the guys ahead hadn't pit. We found out later it would not be so, because Colapinto spins from P15. He hit the wall just before the start-finish straight. Maybe got some suspension damage there. Did the entire start-finish straight, seemed fine, and as soon as he hit the brakes to go into turn 1, the rear right tyre, or the structure there, just collapsed, forcing him into a spin into the wall. This brings out a safety car, which means those 3 guys in the lead who now hadn't pit, who we thought were out of contention, are now very much in contention. We have Correa in the lead, Cordial second, and Taylor Barnard in first. But they all have to run the super soft tyre at one point, which we know already from the start of the race does not last many laps. And we had about 10 laps or so to go once the safety car had ended, and most guys could only do 6 laps on those tyres. So a really interesting strategy play to be made here. Correa, who was in the lead, decides not to pit, whereas Cordial and Barnard both do pit for those super soft tyres. They come in second and third. they leave second and third. So really interesting balancing of the strategies here from the teams. Correa gets the perfect start, though, on the older tyres from the safety car to maintain that lead. Fittipaldi is able to pass Barnard and Miley passes Crawford. Hauger, going very slow, has the exact same issue that he had in the sprint race, has to retire the car, so very disappointing weekend for him. Cordeal is able to take the lead of the race on lap 21. And then there's the battle between Cordeal and Correa for the lead. Enzo Fittipladi sneaks up behind them and does the most incredible double overtake into turn 1 I think I've ever seen. If there was an award for overtake of the year, it might have already been given out, because this was insane. One of the best moves I've ever seen in Formula 2. One of the best moves I've ever seen ever. Going around the outside of two guys to take the lead of the race. Immaculate stuff from Enzo Fittipladi. Fantastic. We then carry on that battle, though, between Correa and Cordeal for P2. An almighty battle there. Fittipaldi, though, has just gone around the outside and gone. He's on those much fresher tyres, which give him that advantage, but still an awful lot of work to do, managing it perfectly for him. Whilst Correa and Cordeal are battling for P2, though, along comes Kushmini, who's able to get past them both up into P2. Virtual safety car is out now for Zach O'Sullivan, because he has done another spin and stall into turn 1, and Hauger is all over the back of Kimi Antonelli. Now, Paul Aron got hit by Victor Martins, which was something that happened towards the end of the race, and they were quite far out of position anyway, so it didn't really get that much of a look in. Correa finally pits from P2 on lap 25 or 28, and it did not work out for him. He ended up, I think, 14th. I mean, I could see what they were trying to do, but they left it far, far, far too late. Maybe they should have really gone with that virtual safety car, try and get a bit of benefit there. It didn't work out. Anyway, Hauger passes Antonelli for P5, and then as we go to the line, Enzo Fittipladi wins in wonderful fashion. Miney is in P2. And then we have a three-way battle for third place. Cordeal, Crawford and Dennis Hauger all fighting for it. Hauger claims the last place on the podium by 0.031 of a second from Crawford. Cordeal in fifth, just 0.127 off of Crawford. A fantastic, just all three of them crossing the line pretty much simultaneously for that third place. They're going in the way of Dennis Hauger. Fantastic stuff. Really, really good. One of the best F2 races I've seen, and all F2 races are pretty good. So, fantastic stuff. Hero of F2 this weekend. A lot of people could be in contention for this. Crawford, definitely up there, definitely. Jack Crawford, some fantastic overtaking from him. Dennis Hauger won the sprint race, fantastic podium in the feature race. Amory Cordeal, on the back foot, made the tyres work, got a great P5, but for that overtake to the lead, I've got to go Enzo Fittipladi. Like I always say, the hero of F2 isn't necessarily the best driver, but the one who I found the most entertaining over the weekend. And that move, I think I'll be thinking about for months to come, because it was absolutely fantastic. So Enzo Fittipladi is the hero of F2 for us this weekend. There you go, another weekend of F2 in the books, and it was absolutely fantastic. We've already done the review of Formula 1 Academy. If you have missed that, that's already on the channel, and we'll be back later on today for all things F1. So make sure you subscribe for that. Until next time, though, I'll see you then. Goodbye.